Alright, so today is going to kind of be a little medley showcase of some different new tools that Metabo is coming out with this winter. This WH18DEX quarter-inch drive impact 18 volt is part of a set included with this DS18DEX half-inch drill driver, along with two of the 2 amp hour batteries and one of the slow chargers and a bag, as well as I think a Phillips bit, a double-ended Phillips bit comes with this. So showing these two off along with our SB3608DA 3x21 36 volt belt sander. Just rolls right off the tongue. Belt sanders are a really important part of, in my opinion, a productive wood shop and a productive sanding experience. Especially for big panels, like I wouldn't use this on cutting boards probably, but for large furniture panels and things like that, and even some cabinetry, this is a huge time saver. And today we're going to use it to kind of make this bench look a little nicer, because it's got some iron stains from when I was sharpening some molding knives. This is like my board rest, if you can say, for the miter saw. When I have longer stuff, it just kind of sits on this thing. It's because I don't have a miter saw stand right now. This has to come off. The miter saw has to be unbolted from the workbench, and my combination sander is going to move where the router table is, because I'm selling the router table. Bosch isn't my brand. I really just don't like their tools that much, and I've never found the router table useful for anything. For what I do anyways. And a lot of stuff that you can do with the router table, you can do with a cordless trim router or a corded trim router just as easily, if not easier, and safer. Did not realize those were the number 12 5 5/8 screws. Well then. Full of sawdust. Didn't think that was going to be as big of a job as that was. Holy cow. This should just be a regular 2.5 or 3 1/8. Yep. And this, that's right, these are nailed together with a pin nailer. Okay, well, anyways, to the workbench, these go. These screws are going to be very hot. Yep. Alright, next up is the combo sander. I have to switch to T30 because I use some RSS's. We'll unplug. And then this thing, in order to get it off, I have to take this table off. Just unscrews. I don't use this thing a whole lot, but when I do, it comes in really handy. This, for small to medium scale workshops, everybody should have one of these, at least one. I don't think I have, well, there's just 2 screws holding it in there, so. Alright. Move this over to the other workbench. And this one is quite heavy because the majority of it is cast iron. And I might as well grab this as well. I think this is an old postal box or something. It's just got a bunch of odds and ends in it. Alright, now for the heaviest thing on here. Pretty sure this is 7/16. Yep. Try and get this where I'm not going to crush it when I set this down. Oh yeah, she's a big girl. Alright, so here's the corded one. This is SB8V2. It's got a very aggressive, looks like a 36 grit on here. I'm not going to use that. But the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to 80 grit it and then 120 grit it, and that'll be good enough for me probably. I might use an ROS, I don't know yet. And then here's our cordless one, SB3608BA. They're actually about the same size. It's the same size belt. The positions feel pretty darn identical. The rear handle on this is curved back a little bit more, just barely. Here's what I like about this one over this one. This one doesn't want to stay flat on its own. It kind of rocks back and forth a little bit. This one, it wants to stay flat, so yeah, this one, it takes a little bit of skill to keep it flat, but it's not that hard. You grab some new belts, and this is very obviously, if you look at the grip, it's very obviously an older Hitachi design. We're gonna go ahead and replace the belts on these. Pretty easy. I grab the belts. These are both going to start out with fresh Diablo 80 grit belts. If you're curious, the main grits I use when I use belt sanders are, I start out with a 50, then an 80, then a 120. I don't use 36 or 24 very often. I'm not really sure why this has one on there, but I don't know. The process for changing the belts on these is pretty much identical. It's just the alignment knob is on a different spot for each belt sander. So, first things first, we look at the inside of our belt. You can see there's arrows here. You want the arrows to line up with the arrow on the belt sander. This one has an arrow right here. It might be a little hard to see on the camera, but it's there. So you want, this is the direction the top of the belt should be going. So we want the top of this belt, the arrows to be pointing forward. So you release your tension lever, pull your old belt off, put your new belt on. Make sure this platen here is inside the belt, not outside it, although I don't know how you would put on a belt without having it in the right spot. Just make sure the edges are lined up with the edges of the rollers, and bam. Same with this one, just undo the tension lever, take your old belt off, make sure the arrow's going the right way. And bam. Tension lever on this one's pretty fresh still. And then this is your alignment knob, and what you're going to do is you're going to turn this left or right, depending on where this belt goes when you start it. And there you go, that's pretty good. On this one, your alignment knob is way back here. And there you go. Nice and easy. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and mark down this whole top, and we'll get started. Alright, we're going to start with the corded. So this is a 16-foot top, and it's pretty evenly divided by this post here. I don't know if you can see where my hand is. Pretty much right where these screws go through the top. I'm not going to time it, but you can if you want. Same belt. They're both going to be running maxed out. It'll be fun trying to remember how to use the belt sander again. It's mainly a speed and a sound comparison. This thing does get pretty warm. It is a brushed motor. It's mainly the gearbox or belt housing. There's a belt that attaches to the end of the motor here, and it goes down to the drive wheel, which is this back one. So, alright, there's the corded one. And as you can see, dust collection. The other one is probably just as bad as this one for dust collection. They do improve drastically when you hook them up to vacuums, but honestly, I'm not going to bother for this. It does look considerably nicer. It'll look even better when I put a 120 on it. Quite a bit of these stains go a lot deeper than I thought they would. Anyways, I wanted to at least keep the character of a well-worn workbench. I didn't want it to be quite as nasty. The neat thing about this one is it's got an automatic mode, which senses a load. So when you first turn it on, it's got your normal speed dial up here. And up at the top is auto. So you'll see when I start using it, it'll speed up pretty significantly. Right. Something you do want to check for, when these belts get warm, sometimes the track moves because certain parts of the, I'm going the wrong way. Certain parts of the belt will heat up faster than others. Wow, the bag got full pretty quick. That's pretty much how full it is. Okay. We didn't even use a bar in the battery. But somebody on one of my shorts commented, it's like, please just let me know if this is 36 volt because then I can use my AC adapter. This thing really is not hard on batteries. You could do an entire kitchen floor just on one of these 4 amp hour batteries probably. Probably one of the 2.5 amp hours. I'm going to switch this back to 120, empty the bag, and then I'll do this whole top. And then I can put my stuff back on. Bag for the corded one's pretty easy. There's a zipper, there it is, on top. There's something else to keep in mind with a belt sander. They do fill their bags pretty darn quick. Not quite as quickly as an electric hand plane, but pretty darn quick. Especially when you start in the lower grits, because they remove quite a bit of material. At the end of one. The cordless one definitely picked up more dust in the bag. Well, I'm not really sure how, as I'm looking back at the table, and they both look just as dusty. I don't know, maybe I just took more off on this one. Alright, so I started from that end, went all the way to this end, then went back, and everything we'd done today was 2 bars on the battery. The battery is slightly warm, but not nearly as warm as the plunge rider gets it when I'm doing really heavy duty stuff. So I could do a whole nother grid if I wanted to on this battery. If you're curious, for those of you who are looking at this and wondering how many batteries do I need, this is a 27.25 by 16 foot. I don't know what that is in my head, but multiply that by like 3 and a bit, and that's what you can get away with one of these 4 amp hour batteries. Probably could have done all I got done today with the 2.5 amp hour battery, honestly. It's not hard on batteries at all. It's just barely warm to the touch. Stayed pretty cool. The platen isn't even that warm, which is kind of shocking. Usually after a long stint like that, you can't even hold your hand on this. Yeah, I'm pretty darn impressed with this. Like, between this and the corded belt sander, we could lay down hardwood floors, or not hardwood floors in the trailer. That would be kind of expensive. The idea I suggested to Fluff was, I've done hardwood floors in the past, I have the bit set for it still. What we could do is kind of what I did for the molding, but since flooring is so much easier to sand, I won't have any of the tear out issues. That, and I'll be working with sharp knives again. Won't have any of the tear out issues that I did with the molding. The idea is to take 2x4s, run them on edge through the table saw to cut them in half, and then make a flooring board out of each half of that, and we can stain that and use that for the flooring in the trailer. And with this thing and the corded belt sander, that would take no time at all to sand that. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little mini review. It's kind of a long one actually, longer than a lot of reviews I see for people doing tool reviews. They use it for one little thing and that's it. But this top is so much smoother now. I can move my hand along it without getting splinters. It's not perfect looking, it does still look a little rustic, but it looks a lot better than it did before. Yeah, SB 3608 DA, 3x21, 36 volt cordless belt sander. Rolls right off the tongue.